Hello guys, so I'm gonna record a video on the trading analysis. Today is the Saturday, so we got the week close, and today is Saturday, April 18, 2020. I'm gonna look at SP500 USD, which is the futures for SPY, and it trades almost 24/7, so it's a little bit better. I'm using this one now instead of SPY to track the market leader. I'm going to look at gold, I'm going to look at silver, gold-silver ratio, quick look at dollar, and also I will look at oil. Alright, so let's get into it. First of all, just looking at the daily here, and the daily we had the all-time high, then we had this crazy dump. And now we are having this pump, and the pump has been very significant. So just I'm gonna put on the drawing tools and don't get too scared, because I'm trying to use this new technique that I'm using to do my technical analysis, and I'm liking it just because it's more like an art, and it's really cool. So let's have a look. So you can see the drawings come on here, and the main thing to see here is that we are in this orange rising wedge, right? Orange rising wedge here, and we have pumped, and also we have pumped. I have done a fib retracement from the all-time high to the bottom of the dump, and we are just about to reach this golden pocket here. So and you can see here there is quite a lot of action in this area on the first dump and then bounce, and that's where we are right now, in this area and the golden pocket, and also it lines up with the top of the rising wedge. So we have quite a bit of resistance here. So this is like I would say a sell zone, especially because it's a golden pocket area, and you know, 3 confluences or even more confluences than that. We got the golden pocket, excuse me, we got the rising wedge resistance, and we got the horizontal sort of resistance here because of previous action. And also if we scroll back and we just, let's say we put a horizontal here, and if we scroll back just to see what sort of action we had in the past. So we had it as support here, then it became a resistance, and then we broke above it, and then we got a lot of resistance over here as well. Support, resistance, resistance here. So it's a very significant level. Resistance here, resistance here. Yeah, wow, like super significant. And then I don't think we touch it again. So yeah, this area here is very much a resistance area, and bulls need to be very careful here, and we need to see what's going to happen if we do push up there next week, right? Next week. Today is Saturday already, so we've got the weekend to wait on any sort of news that we're going to get, if we're going to get anything, any improvements or any deterioration on the virus or the trading, all the trade information, economic data, whatnot. Also, what I have is I have my RSI, and I've started drawing some trend lines on RSI, and I'm really liking it as well. So you can see here we are also in this rising wedge on the RSI. So we're going to be, if we push any more up, we're also going to be pushing in this trading into this resistance zone here. So we got a lot of resistance if we're going up any much higher up. So bulls need to be careful, and if you're a bear, you gotta watch this area next week and see if we reject from here. And maybe it's time to enter some shorts and expect some sort of consolidation in this area. So yeah, and then another interesting thing, if we look at the 4 hours, so we were trading last night, yesterday, and you can see this trend line here, this horizontal line here. You can see we tried to it was resistance here before, then we broke above it, and then yesterday we were testing it, then we broke below it, but bulls bought the dip, and then we closed above it at the end of the day. We had an end of the day pump. So now this trend line is significant as well, especially if we push up here, get rejected in this area and then come down, then we will be testing together this trend line here, which is like a more tighter rising wedge than this orange line, and at the same time we will be testing this support now. So if we do break both of them, we are very likely to come down to this area here, which is another horizontal, which is support here, and some resistance over here. So this is also a key area. So it seems to be pretty simple. What sort of arrangement we got. We push up. If we reject here, we're coming down to test this line. If we don't reject, we might stall here for a little bit, and then we're going to make a decision. I do not think we're just going to shoot through this area here. So bulls need to be careful, and they need to have a look what's going to happen next week. On the 4-hour RSI, we also got a tightening range here, and we're looking at what is going to happen. If we push up, we're going to break through here. If we reject here next week straight away, we're going to come back and test this trend, this horizontal once again. So that's, let's have a quickly look at the weekly. If we look at the weekly chart, we're looking very bullish actually. So we had Mariposa candle here, and now we're closed at the high of this candle. Bears tried to push it, we got the wick down. We still haven't set so the candlestick formation looks bullish, but we are entering this area here which is congested from before, and we're already almost retraced to the golden pocket. Let's see what's going to happen, because we do need to start looking for a weekly lower high, right? We haven't got a weekly lower high set yet. We need to set it somewhere, and then we need to consolidate for a weekly high low somewhere. So it's going to be key to see what is going to happen. Looking at this, I'm seeing maybe this is a trend line here. It's going to be interesting to see if we do push up this high up. That will be a big push actually. Very interesting on SPY. So let's have a look at gold. So this is gold on the daily. Gold has consolidated Friday quite a bit. So you can see the coronavirus dump over here. Then we pushed back up. We uptrended. We broke through the 7-year high. 7-year high since 2013 here. Since 2013. So for about 7 years, broke through. We wicked one time. We wicked another time. And then we basically got rejected here. So if I put the drawing tools back on, I've got the drawings here prepared as well, and you can see that we had a little bit of a wedge here, and we have this resistance, which is a weekly channel. So if I go on weekly, so there's this channel on the weekly, which is going back all the way to the August 2018, and this channel, the way that I drew it, is here because I'm ignoring this area here because it was the coronavirus liquidity dump, and we very quickly recovered back into the channel. So now we came back to this channel again, and basically we had a massive wick on the candle, which got rejected, and now the candle looks like a massive shooting star, which is a reversal candle on a high volume as well. So we are likely to consolidate and form a weekly high low. And but we need to confirm it next week by breaking the low of this candle, which is 1675 area, and which lines up with this weekly horizontal line here. Alright, so going back to daily chart, what do we see? We see this rising wedge broke bearish here, and now we're coming down to this trend line, to this horizontal resistance support line, and we'll see how we go. I think because we closed at the low of the day, we have you know, it's a higher than average volume. We're likely to keep going down, and what I want for gold to do is actually to go down into this area here, which is the resistance support area here, and that's where I will be buying, because my plan is looking back historically. You got this. Let's just have a look at our side. So we have this trend line here as well. We broke below it, we retested it, and now we reject it. We also set a double top on the daily RSI here, and that's why we're rejecting here. So now I'm very interested in this 50 or about 48, 47 horizontal on the RSI. So if I scroll back, you can see there's quite a bit of action around it. You can see there's a support here, it was a support here, it was almost a support there, and there's a lot of action through here on it. And if you see that once the daily RSI goes above this 48, 47, we are generally very, very bullish. You can see here, once we go above it, we had a massive bull run here. We're still bullish here, we're still bullish, we tested it over here. We tested the RSI 50, 47, and then we're bullish once again. We come here, we test it once again, and then we're bullish once again. Over here we drop it because of the coronavirus liquidity, but we quickly recover, and we test it once again here, 50 RSI. So this 50 RSI, 48, 47 daily RSI is very key for me, and if we hold above it, let's say we come and test it, that's where I'm going to be buying. I'm going to be buying around here if we hold it, and then we bounce and we keep going up. So, and if we break below it, then I'm out of the trade to see what's going to happen, how long this consolidation will last. Maybe we will consolidate all the way down to the bottom of the channel, lined up together with this RS, resistance support trend with horizontals, and also I've got the Fib extension. The red line here is the Fibonacci 0382. So this is my buy zone, and it actually might line up with the 50 RSI and the daily. Also, if I flick back my EMAs, I want to look at them the weekly, right? And on the weekly, we got the 8 EMA coming up into this area. So, and we got 21 EMA on this channel here. So it's going to be some nice support coming up with the EMAs, because 21 EMA is also my buying point. So let's say we are going to consolidate in a channel like this. Maybe the 21 EMA will come up here and line up together with all this. This is going to be a really good buy zone here. There's so much support here. The risk to reward is really amazing. So that would be optimal, to be honest. Me to buy in that area. What else do we have? We have an RSI weekly channel as well forming here. We're inside of it right now, and let's see what's going to happen. At the same time, so it's a very simple view on this one as well. Once you draw it, we broke out of the wedge, we rejected from the weekly channel, we got rejection week, long week here, the candle shooting star, and high volume, so we're likely to come down. Where we're going to come down to, we're likely going to break this one, and then we're likely to come down in this area here, and then we're going to get supported by this channel, we're going to get supported by this horizontals, we're going to get supported by weekly 21 EMA. Very, very simple analysis. I mean, it's probably not going to be that easy, but if it is, then perfect, you know. What else? That's about it for gold. I mean, I'm gonna buy some gold if that happens. It's gonna be good, and I'm gonna try to enter a long-term, long-term position, I guess, because fundamentals are lining up for gold as well. Because you know, every time the government, every time the interest rates drop to zero, and there is a crisis, historically, many times over the history. It hasn't really happened in our lifetimes. This is mainly from Ray Dalio, but I've studied what studies Ray Dalio has put out, and every time this configuration happens, that there's a zero interest rates, and they start printing money, and they start to give money to, you know, all the businesses, bailing them out, and they're trying to bail out the people, basically printing, you know, they've already printed about 10% of GDP. This is USA. So once you start printing such huge amounts, you basically devalue the currency, and the value, the wealth goes into something else that stores value, and historically it's always been gold. So that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so I had a bit of a pause, so now it's 12:24 p.m. But what I was saying is basically a gold looking good. If we retrace to this area here, I'm gonna be a buyer, and then I can stop out if we break below the weekly 21 EMA. So simple, and I want to hold it for a long time. Alright, gold. So let's have a look at silver. Silver is also is more interesting to me. Having more hope for it, that it has more room to run, just because it's been smashed so much harder than gold. So silver is basically at the lows here, and it's just been terrible, right? So what we want to do is we want to buy some silver. I already do have some, but we need to keep watching the gold and silver ratio, right? The gold and silver ratio. So if we have a look at gold and silver ratio, it was in this rising wedge, which we expected to break down, but instead it just broke up and pretty much reached all-time high of 126. So the higher it is means gold is more expensive compared to silver. And now it's had this long wick, and now it's consolidating. So if we do start coming down and retesting this area, we will likely break down and come down. So if that starts happening, that means silver is going faster than gold, and then we want to buy silver, and that means silver will go up. So you can see I got these trend lines that we had here, and we were hoping to break up. Instead we broke down, and now we came back up to retest this white trend line, but we rejected so far on the monthly. So if we're looking on the daily, we had similar rising wedge to gold, but we actually broke down out of this one faster. As you can see on the daily here, we only broke out on this is the first day of the breakdown, but at the silver we already had the third day of the breakout from this rising wedge, and yeah, so we will have a look to possibly load up on silver as well, depending on the gold and silver ratio, because gold and silver ratio, we had the falling wedge here, and we broke upwards, but now we seem to be stalling here with we were unable to break up above this this horizontal of 111. So if we do break down, that means silver will be a better buy. That means we will be still downtrending on the daily, and we are consolidating still on the weekly. But if we go up on the daily, that means we're gonna set a we're gonna be looking. That means we will set a high low on the daily, on the weekly, and we'll be looking to see if we're gonna set a lower high or if we're gonna continue upwards into 130s and stuff, but that's never seen before. Just quick look at the dollar. Dollar is in this little equilibrium on the daily at the moment after having a pump equilibrium. So that's the range. If we turn the drawings back on and go to weekly, on the weekly we have this trend line here, which we've been holding for almost a year, more than a year, sorry, since 2018, or 2 years, and we are currently, we shot above it, we shot below it, we rejected it, so now we're below it. But at the same time we got this massive triangle on the monthly, and we broke above it, right? We broke above it, we wicked it again, but now we're still above it. So as long as we're above this macro triangle, I'm very bullish on dollar. And as you know, I am bullish on dollar fundamentally as well, because there is right now it is called a dollar milkshake theory, and basically because of this crisis the world is very short on USD, because 70% of all trade is in US dollars, and everyone is basically needs to repay their debt because they keep borrowing and borrowing a lot, and now the debt is really huge, never seen before in the world, and it's only going up now because they're printing more and more of it, and as they print more and more of it, the Federal Reserve, they're mainly giving the US dollar to American companies and American people. So anyone in the world outside of the America is going to be very short on dollars, and therefore the demand will be high. So we expect the dollar to go up unless they keep printing huge amounts and do the currency swaps like they do with Europe and a bunch of other nations too much, and then we can expect maybe hyperinflation happening. But right now we don't see that yet, so we're just gonna see how the things develop. But gold and dollar are good investments to hold right now. American dollar, that is. You don't want to hold the Australian dollar. I wouldn't think so, because Australian dollar, look at it's having a nice bounce here, but that's because it got so oversold. So oversold, but you can see it's been going down this whole time. And if we look on the monthly chart, it's basically reached at this point here. It's been 2003. It hasn't been this low since 2003, 2002. So Australian dollar is absolutely smashed, and Australia printing money at the highest level since ever, and the debts are the highest since ever. So Australian dollar is likely to continue down. It might have a bounce here. You got the massive wick here on the huge volume. It might play out more of this bounce on the monthly time frame. But I'd rather hold the American dollars. US oil. So US oil is the other interesting one. It's had a massive dump due to the oil price wars between Russia, Saudi Arabia, and USA, and a bunch of other countries. But now we had this huge bounce here, and then we gave it all back straight away. But if I turn this back on, now what we're doing is we're forming this falling wedge on the daily time frame, and we wicked a little bit to it, and now we're trying to bounce. So if we do break out of it, we're likely to go up higher, and I think when you do targets, you can do targets like this. So the target will be only $27, $28. So if we do break up, which would be a good amount of gain, I guess, 50% or so. So this trade could happen here, but be careful trying to play this as the you don't want to catch the falling knife. We had this trend line here on the daily, which broke bearish, and now we're gonna see if we're gonna hold it over here. Or we're gonna bounce earlier, because this is a bullish divergence forming. So if we do bounce here, it's gonna be 1, 2, third bullish divergence, and then we're gonna go up likely in this case. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Once again, SPY had a huge bounce, and it's ought to top out somewhere, and this is an area as good as any to top out. You got heaps of resistance here. You got the golden pocket. You got this very key resistance area. Very key resistance area on the chart, and you also got the rising wedge resistance on the daily, and yeah, you got RSI topping out here as well. What is this? This is the weekly one. So yeah. So yeah, you got a bunch of resistances in this area, and bulls need to be really careful and see what's gonna happen, because the real economy is shattered. The real economy is shattered, and if we break down here from this falling wedge, we're likely to come down here to see what the reaction is gonna be. So anyway, thanks for watching, and good luck with your trading. See you later. Bye bye.